Tonight, a world order upended.
You said you would bomb the S out of Oman.
No, I don't think they behaved very well.
Donald Trump threatens allies while praising a nuclear nemesis.
Kim Jong-un has always treated me with great respect.
Plus,
he wants to build his ballroom and travel with Natalie on their apparently defenseless flying palace.
a rising Democratic star strikes a nerve with MAGA.
You mean Pee Wee Herman?
Also, Donald Trump's new lawman refuses to say he'll be independent of the president.
No, I'm not going to pledge that, and no attorney general should ever pledge that.
Is Todd Blanche's answer outrageous or practical? And after Trump asks the Supremes to let him build his ballroom, he deploys another adjective for anyone opposed.
Very, very disloyal to our country.
Live at the table, Keith Boykin, Bill Stepien, Dina Doll, Arthur Aidala, Reena Ninan, and Stacy Schneider. Americans with different perspectives aren't talking to each other, but here they do. Good evening, I'm Abby Phillip in New York. Tonight, President Trump takes the phrase, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer to heart. Well, at least that second part. He is days away from launching new tariffs against Canada. He's threatened to bomb the shit out of Oman. And now he's saying that he's scaling back joint U.S. military drills with our ally, South Korea. Those drills have been conducted for over 70 years in an effort to deter North Korean aggression. And yet, today, he is also fawning over North Korea's dictator leader.
Why hasn't Kim Jong-un responded to your request to have a conversation?
How do you know he hasn't responded?
Has he?
Yeah, he has. I understand him. He understands me. You're doing war games. I get along with him. You know, he didn't like Biden. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like anybody. But I get along with him very well. No, what I'm doing is making things safer.
Now, this weekend, Trump said that the reason for this pause was his good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and he also criticized the costs of the exercises and that they sent a totally inappropriate and hostile signal to North Korea, who he says has been unthreatening and respectful. But he also said that this isn't the only reason for his decision.
When I called him, I said, would you like to give us a little hand? We don't need help with Iran, but if you'd like, give us a hand with Iran. He said, no, thanks. And I said, wait a minute, we have 39,000 soldiers over there guarding you from Kim Jong-un, your next door neighbor, and you're not going to help us on a very easy military operation in Iran? That's strange. No, we'd rather not get involved. I say, well, why are we involved in helping you? So
now, before we open it up to the table here, we want to invite you at home to join our debate. Head to CNN.com/Abby. Weigh in there. We'll get to some of your comments throughout the show. Now, Reena, I can't tell, actually, which of the two things it is. Is it that he just loves Kim Jong-un so much, or is he mad that South Korea didn't help him out on Iran?
I think it's a little bit of that, and it's the unreliability factor that he loves. He loves throwing these wild things into the air at moments where he needs to sort of back away from the conversation in Iran, for instance. Remember, he tried this in his first administration. Right. It didn't go well, right? The one person I think who's actually had traction on North Korea is Dennis Rodman. And I think that's been a long time ago. You guys remember when he went out to North Korea, got a little bit of, what did he get in the end? Nothing. And I think it's the same road that Trump is going to go down, because this is not an easy bargain to do. You don't have your enemies suddenly turn and become friends. You've got to show leverage, and it doesn't seem like he has any right now.
This just seems like the wrong fight to be picking, Bill.
Let me read this headline from CNN. U.S. and South Korea scale back joint military drills to reduce tension with North Korea. That was from today. No, it was from 2019. This is in line with what's been, what's been
that
done
was
before.
The last time Trump did this.
Done before. We now have a new president of South Korea who's a very different vision of how to deal with North Korea. It's not to fight. It's to proceed with peace talks and disarmament, and military exercises in the DMZ would be fly completely in the face of that.
It's not that Trump is saying, oh, let's work with South Korea to take a different strategy. He is attacking South Korea and praising North Korea, which last time I checked is still a nuclear-armed dictatorship.
Yeah, look, this is in line with past policy. I believe it's in line with where South Korea is today. That's the fact.
There's not a doubt in my mind he is pissed off that South Korea has refused to help in Iran. If you look at his first campaign, President Trump's, his second campaign, and his third campaign, he's been very consistent. We're only going to help those who help us. Why are we helping everybody around the world and they're not helping us? And now he makes a specific ask. He played it down here. It's an easy war. We need a little help over there. Do you want to help? They say no. Okay, no problem. Look, Donald Trump, any of us New Yorkers know, he comes out in all of his negotiating skills, whether it's real estate, casinos, beauty pageants, he comes out like the guns of Navarone. He comes out, with like you just said, making crazy statements, trying to gin it all up, and he's done it.
But he's going to look crazier when nothing happens. We know we've gone down this road. Multiple presidents are because they're dumb. They understand that this trajectory takes policy, and there's no policy behind this.
I think the timing, this is less about South Korea and more about North Korea. The fact that this happened right as the 60-day Iran...
You mean Iran?
Yes.
Yeah, more about Iran.
No, more about North Korea and Iran, because he desperately does not want North Korea to help Iran as they have helped Russia. And he knows the 60-day deal with Iran is just expired. He knows it's going to get worse.
So you think he's trying to sweeten up?
Yes, he's
North
trying
Korea.
to, and that shows that how the footing we're on, how poor it is, that he is trying to cozy up to North Korea to get them to not help, Iran. This shows that his policy is failing. It's not so much about South Korea.
I do think the Iran piece is super important in all of this, because at the same time that he's making these threats about our relationship with South Korea, he's also threatening our ally, Oman. Listen.
This morning you said you would bomb the S out of Oman if they got in the way of reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Would you say you're out of patience with Oman, a strategic partner?
I don't think they behave very well, but we'd handle them very easily, just like we do other things.
To Dina's point, it's been 60 days, nothing has happened. Strait of Hormuz is still effectively closed. Iran still has the nuclear material in its possession. They are hardening. It is an embarrassment of that policy.
The policy is a failure, as Dina mentioned, and what's going on right now is that Trump has a foreign policy based on personalities and payoffs, not about principle. And American foreign policy historically, allegedly, was about principle. Trump doesn't care about principle. You say it like it's a good thing. He's acting like a mob boss. But I think, honestly, the American people and people of the world want leadership that's consistent from the American president. They want us to stand up with our allies, not just Oman. He is threatening Spain and other allies, NATO allies, just because they don't agree with everything he says.
Canada's going to be the 51st state.
Canada,
Aren't you hip to the
Greenland,
situation,
all
right?
the different threats. That's not effective strategy. This is a guy who came and said he's going to resolve the war in Ukraine. He was going to resolve all these issues very quickly once he became president. He's failed to do so.
United States twice. It's also made him the president of the United States.
And that's
twice.
and the American
that's a
people. That's not a good thing. The fact he's been president.
Well, it's a good thing for him. It's a good. Some people agree with his policies.
So wait, I'm
half
sorry.
the country or a majority of the country.
What
77 million
specifically
people
do
is
you
not
think
half the
has made
country.
him president of the United States twice? Because he ran on America first.
Right.
We weren't going to get into the foreign wars. We weren't going to be fighting battles in the Middle East. We weren't going to be trying to do regime change. That's the antithesis of how he's governing right now.
Well, I think if you ask him, you don't have to ask him. He said it. He said he thinks that Iran, who has been our number one enemy since the ends of the 70s, if they have a nuclear weapon, it's going to put Americans in peril. It's going to put clearly Israel, the only democratic state in that area, in peril. And it's going to put all of Western Europe if those nuclear weapons can go that far. So he would argue, and he has argued, that I'm doing this to protect America.
And I would disagree that nothing is happening.
Well,
10 days ago, Turkey, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia signed a deal where if you attack one of us, you attack all three of us.
Okay.
3 days ago, 14 countries, including Saudi Arabia, signed a coalition agreement. We want to secure global trade in the region. 2, we want to reduce foreign dependence on security. Things are happening. Trump has asked people to step up.
What's happening,
People are stepping up.
But what's happening vis-a-vis the actual goal of this war, which is stopping Iran from being a malign actor in terms of ballistic missiles in the region, proxy sponsorships of terrorism, and nuclear weapons. What's happened on
change is not going to come from Washington. Change is going to come from the Middle East.
Oh,
when you
certainly.
see
Tell that
14
to Donald
countries,
Trump. Donald Trump started this war because he thought he was going to impose Trump. He was going to impose Trump's Pax Americana on Iran. He was going to force them to come to the table and submit.
I mean, this was J.D. Vance. Let me just play. This is June 18th. This is after they signed the Memorandum of Understanding. Here's what he said was going to happen.
I think the president's peace plan in Iran is already bearing real fruits for the American people. Oil prices are down nearly at their level from the pre-war conflict. Gas prices dropped below $4 a gallon today for the first time since the conflict. And importantly, they're going to keep falling further given how low oil prices are. The Iranians, for the second night in a row, did not shoot at any ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So far, they are honoring their end of the commitment.
He's telling us that this is the beginning of a beautiful peace with Iran, effectively. None of these things have happened. Gas prices are still high. Iran is still shooting at ships. There's been literally 2 tankers moving through that area, three commercial ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz in 24 hours. Used to be over 100 per day. Nothing has changed except the reports that Iran is hardening.
What's changed is Iran's greatest weapon is not a missile, it's time.
Yeah.
They're trying to wait this thing out. Today you heard Trump say something very different. He says, I do not have a timetable. I'm not in a hurry. That tells me he's looking for something.
He's been saying that, though,
well,
right?
He's been setting timetables.
He's been saying that, setting
timetables.
He's been giving them offers of peace, Reena, and then he's been backing off at them because even though he's saying those things, he's acting like he does care that there's a midterm election coming up, that the gas prices are high, that he really does need this thing to be wrapped up.
Yeah. I mean, one of the greatest things for this war is that now Americans know where the Strait of Hormuz is. You open up your credit card statements and there's the Strait of Hormuz. It's your energy bills. It's your gas bills. I did a family vacation to Maine and gas was almost $5. Yeah. I mean, you are feeling it and Americans are feeling it and people are starting to ask questions. You know, you take your kid to a Little League game or something. People are feeling it. They're talking about it on the sidelines of games. And I think Americans have reached their limit on this. And I think he has entered the quicksand of the Middle East. It's very hard to get out.
And the Iranians, I mean, to Bill's point, I mean, I think you're right. Yeah, they are playing a time game, right? Yeah. Who's winning that game?
Well, I think who's winning is Iran. And I think going back to the point of Oman, most people might not realize what a strategic importance this country is in negotiations for Washington over administrations, not just for the Trump administration. They are like the hotline to Iran, only because they have leverage on understanding on both sides. It's like having a homeowner who owns the driveway, right? Everybody's got to go through that driveway. They've got access to the Strait of Hormuz. So to say what Trump has said to Oman is just not only out of line, it is not in U.S. interests.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Reena, thank you very much for joining us. Next.